Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to HMS Studios MOCs and Tutorials, and today I am going to be showing off my latest creation, my custom LEGO Imperial Armored Personnel Carrier. So this is my Imperial Armored Personnel Carrier. Now this has actually been a project that I have been working on for over a year. About this time last year, I created a version of this model, but it didn't really have all the features that I wanted, and I wasn't really happy with it, so even though I made a YouTube video on it, I never ended up posting it. So this year, when I got back from school, I took the entire model apart and rebuilt it from scratch. And I think that choice was very, very good, and I'm very happy and proud of the model that you have before you right now. So this is what I am choosing to call the LAVw, or Light Assault Vehicle Wheeled A2. Now, I know it sounds like a very weird and specific name, but it actually has two meanings behind it. First of all, it follows the same naming convention as the Republic Juggernauts, also known as the clone turbo tanks, which are called the HAVW, or Heavy Assault Vehicle Wheeled A6. And, you know, there aren't a ton of wheeled vehicles in Star Wars, so I figured I would try to have my vehicle that I designed be from the same line and family as some of the other wheeled vehicles that we see in Star Wars, just to make it feel a bit more in-universe and make it feel more connected with the rest of the galaxy. The other reason why I chose that name is that it is a reference to the family of vehicles that I actually based this design off of. That being the LAVw, or Light Armored Vehicle family of vehicles created by General Dynamics Land Systems Canada for the Canadian Armed Forces and serving in various other militaries throughout the world in the modern day. Now, for a while, I've been very, very interested in the LAV family, and I really wanted to recreate something inspired by those vehicles in LEGO, and that's why I chose to build this right here. And throughout the rest of the video, once I get into the meat of all of the details and the features that I included, you'll see a lot of similarities between the real-life LAVs and my Star Wars-ified LAV. The final thing I just wanted to add before we get into the rest of the video is that one of the features that I really, really wanted to incorporate was modularity. So the model you're seeing in front of you right now is in its fully dedicated armored personnel carrier configuration. So it can carry as many infantry as it can, but it's a bit light on armament. And so in this configuration, I'm choosing to call it the Bantha. Now, there is another configuration that you will see later on in the video, which is more dedicated towards fire support, and it's more of an infantry fighting vehicle. And so in that configuration, I am calling it the Mudhorn. Anyways, let's get on to the features. Okay, so right off the bat, one of the things that you might be noticing are all of these bar pieces around the hull of my LAV. And the reason I did that is really, it just looked cool to me. And also because a lot of these real-world vehicles in real life have these kinds of like add-on armor or standoff armor. Now, in Star Wars, I don't think they'd be very useful. Maybe you could say that they're like these bars are producing like a very small energy shield to protect the vehicle. Whatever it is, all I wanted to do was to make it look as though it could fit into modern combat on Earth, and I just think it looks really, really cool. Now, the next feature is the thing that I am most proud about this design, and that is that the two wheels at the front can actually steer. And not only do they, like, it's not like they just steer individually, they steer in tandem. So if I turn this over, you will see that the 4 wheels at the front are connected by a fairly simple, like, Technic configuration. And so when I move this front wheel, they all move in sync. Now, I did not design this completely myself. I adapted it from a design that I got off of Rebrickable that I will be showing up on screen right now, and I'll be sure to link the creator in the description, so please check them out. But that is something that I really wanted to add on this vehicle, and I'm so happy that it turned out really well. And I don't really think I had to sacrifice any of the other design features of the build, so I'm very happy with how that turned out. Now, the next thing that you might be noticing that also doesn't look super Star Warsy is this this kind of like cope cage on the top. You know, this looks more at home in, say, like the Russian-Ukraine war rather than Star Wars. And again, I will agree, and it's kind of the same logic behind why I added the bars to the sides. I just thought it looked cool, and I wanted to add something that a lot of real-world militaries have. Now, the netting that I added on top is from a Jurassic World set, one of those nets that you just shoot out from the little net pusher to like catch one of the dinosaurs. But I think it works really nicely here, and it could also, you could make it work in the sense that maybe, you know, this is providing some kind of shade or some kind of protection to the gunner right there. So it does kind of make sense, but really it is just for style points. Now, another thing that is fairly prominent is this thing. Now, what is this? You might be wondering, is that like an antenna? Is it a weapon? It's actually neither of those things. And so what it actually is it is a cutter to cut wires. Now, why would there be a wire cutter all the way up on the top of the hull of an armored vehicle? Well, I will let the Canadian Tank Museum answer that for me.
There's a nasty habit of people who like to put wires across roads at about neck height. And if you are driving a vehicle and there's a wire, very narrow wire that's tied between 2 telephone poles, and your head is out and the wire is approximately neck height, it is not conducive to your continued driving and or commanding abilities if the wire slashes across your neck. So what happened very quickly was they reinstalled basically what are called Wirecutters. And basically, if you hit a wire, it gets caught in one of these notches, and then basically, because you have a very large and heavy vehicle, and the wire is usually thin, the wire will snap without causing any injury to the crew.
So yes, this here is meant to cut wires in case there is a wire across the road, and to prevent it from removing a minifigure's head from the rest of their body. Now, we've never seen anything like this in Star Wars, but I feel like it actually is something that could be useful in like an urban combat zone in Star Wars, because no matter what, this will cut a wire, and you don't want a wire interfering with your soldiers. So I think it's a pretty interesting detail. Now, I've also got a machine gun here on like a little mount. So right now it's kind of up to the air, not really doing anything, but you can, let's skip to focus, you can angle it down, and then if I move it over a little bit, I can put it into the hand of the gunner minifigure, and he can control the blaster. Another important feature is the viewport and the hatch to get into the tank for the driver and the crew commander. So here, the lighting isn't great, but this here is supposed to be the viewport for the driver, and you can kind of tell, but I used a red transparent 1x2, and I was originally going to use just like a dark gray transparent piece, but I thought the red one was a bit more menacing and a bit more Imperial, a bit more scary. And then the hatch, if you just move this to the side, it's very easy to open. You just pull up on this, and then there is a driver inside. Not only is there a driver inside, but you can actually take him out of his seat and have him standing up, holding on to a bar piece so that he can look around and inspect the battlefield. Now, another feature that I really like is that if you take this guy off, you can look down and you'll see his seat there, but there's also 3 rungs to a ladder. So there is actually a way for the minifigs to get in and out without having, you know, the person who's playing with it just like plop them in, plop them out. No, I really wanted to make sure that there was a believable way for the minifigs to get in and out by themselves, and the ladder is where he's able to attach his arm to pop his head out of the vehicle. So it's a really nice 2-in-1 design. And if we remove the cope cage and the gunner, you will see that it's the same in this spot. There are some ladder rungs for the gunner to get in and out of the vehicle, as well as the other troops who are down there, and the rungs act as a spot for him to hold on to so he can pop his head out of the vehicle. Moving towards the rear of the vehicle, you'll notice a thin blue stripe going down the back, and I really just wanted to add a little splash of color, and I thought sand blue worked really well. You know, a lot of the Star Wars sets from Rogue One had some sand blue highlights, so I think it fits pretty well. Now, there is another feature over here that is kind of hidden in plain sight. So right here is a storage box connected to the vehicle, and you can actually open it. So if you grab from the sides, you pull it up, and inside is a little tray to hold all of the blasters for the soldiers who are sitting inside the vehicle. Because there isn't actually room for the minifigs to hold onto their blasters because it's pretty cramped, but I didn't want to just have them go into battle without any guns. So I added what I thought was a pretty clever design so that I can have the blasters with the vehicle at all times, but also like kind of hidden in plain sight. And there is an identical tray on the other side. Now moving on to the rear, we have another feature where if you grab onto this right here, you can pull it back and the ramp drops down. And inside, you'll see some stormtroopers. And so, you know, the ramp can drop down at the back and the stormtroopers can just rush out super fast. So now that we've gotten to the stormtroopers, I think it's about time that we access the interior, and I'll show you all of the interior space and details. So accessing the interior is actually pretty simple. Most of the top panels are just attached by a couple studs. So here at the back, you can just grab at the sides and pull it up. And then towards the middle, if you grab on the blue part and this exposed stud here, just gently pinch and pull up, and that piece comes off. And then at the back, you have this part, and again, you just gently pull it up. The most important part of any armored personnel carrier is that it can actually carry personnel. So inside, you'll see there are 8 seats for stormtroopers to sit comfortably. Well, maybe not that comfortably because they are a little bit crammed, but you know, there's no illegal building techniques. They're all in there legally. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good amount to fit in, especially when LEGO these days is too stingy to even give you more than like 3 stormtroopers in a set. Now moving towards the front of the vehicle, we have the crew commander right there. So he's got a comm piece there so he can talk to command, and behind him is a little rack for the blasters for him and the pilot. And so he's sitting at an operations station right there, so he can control the remote weapon system when it is fixed, and I'll show you that in a bit. And he can also just plan out where they're going to go and just, do his commanding duties. And then towards the front is where the driver sits. Now, you've already seen him popping his head out of the vehicle, but if you remove him from his seat, there are some more control panels there for him to use to drive the vehicle. So now that we've taken a look at the interior, I will show you the two other configurations for this vehicle. Now, one of them isn't really a whole different configuration. I would still classify it as another variant of the Bantha, but it is a bit different. So moving to where the gunner was, if we remove this, the little pintle mount for the blaster, and then take the hatch, and then remove it from the body, we can take this remote weapon system, which again, much like the suspension, this is not really fully my design. I borrowed most of the elements from this Bricklink designer on Bricklink, but I did change a few elements. But overall, I just thought it looked really, really cool, so I just wanted to use it. So you can take it and just plop it in right here. So now, it's a bit more capable at fighting off infantry. To me, this would be like an autocannon, or like, an autocannon. And then here would be like a coaxial machine gun. So it can spin 360 degrees. It has decent depression, very good elevation. It's got like a little sensor thing right here, that black part. And it even has some smoke grenade dischargers right there, like the little binoculars, and then right there as well. So yeah, pretty menacing. Like I wouldn't want to be in infantry on the wrong side of that. But it's still not really heavy enough to take on enemy emplacements or armor. So for that, we have to break out another configuration. So the next configuration that I'm going to show you changes the purpose of this vehicle a lot more. So here with the remote weapon system, it still can carry 8 infantry. So it really has the same purpose as when it had like the little machine gun. But for the next one, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take off this entire section right here. And we're going to have to remove these 2 stormtroopers. So in this configuration, it can only carry 6 infantry. So it's not as good as like a strict personnel carrier, but that is because it sacrifices its carrying capacity for much more firepower. So we're going to just take this and put it off to the side, and we're going to take a separate roof piece, and we're going to slot it in right here. And then we're going to take this custom turret that I designed loosely based off of the LAVw turret from the LAVw family that I was mentioning earlier. It's got smoke dischargers here, and a machine gun, and either a heavy autocannon or some kind of repeating blaster cannon. In real life, this would be a 25mm Bushmaster chain gun, so I would want this to fulfill a similar role in the Star Wars universe. And then on the back, there are some antennas that can move around, but really they're on the clip so that they don't just get knocked off. And the reason you have to take those stormtroopers out is because the turret is mounted on a rotating base that rotates at the very bottom, like this. which is fairly realistic to how turrets work in real life. You know, they're on like they have their own turret baskets, and so I wanted a similar thing for this. So again, you just slot it in and make sure the studs connect, and then now you have the turret on top. And I am really happy with how this looks. The gun can elevate and depress, same with the coaxial, well, not really coaxial, but the other machine gun, or other machine gun. And yeah, it can rotate a full 360 degrees. And the most important part for me was to keep the turret fairly low. Because if you look at pictures of the real LAVs, the turrets are fairly small, or at least low to the hull, so as not to present a huge target. And I wanted to keep like the same general silhouette on this vehicle. So I am pretty happy with how it turned out. And once again, this is what I'm choosing to call the Mudhorn rather than the Bantha, just because to me, the extra heavy firepower would constitute like the big horn of the Mudhorn. So that's why, and because it fulfills a different role, that's why I figured it would fit to assign this a different like call sign, I guess. So that is my latest LEGO creation. Honestly, this has been one of the most fun things to design for me in a very, very long time, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. So I would love to hear what you guys think. So please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what kind of other builds you'd want to see from me. And also if you'd want to see like a tutorial. Now, will I do a tutorial? Most likely not, because there are a butt-ton of pieces in here. This is a very heavy, dense model. But, you know, if it gets really popular, maybe I'll make it. And I'm also thinking of starting a rebrickable page. So please let me know if you guys would think that would be interesting and if that's something you would be into. Anyways, this has been HMS Studios MOCs and Tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.